Hi families, this is Victoria Waco, and in this video we'll be going over the program and preparation details for First Reconciliation and First Communion here at Church of the Transfiguration. If you're watching this video, you're probably a parent who's interested in our program, and in this video I'll go over all of the basic details for it. Now, normally if we were meeting in person, I would share with you this video overviewing the seven sacraments. It is linked below in the description box in case you'd like to watch it. But for right now, we're going to move on to some of the specific details that concern reconciliation and communion. But as a reminder, those two sacraments tie into our seven sacraments in the Catholic Church. And our continuations, of course, then there's also confirmation, marriage, anointing of the sick, and holy orders. So the Sacrament of Reconciliation, I love this quote by Padre Pio, St. Padre Pio, that to love Jesus and have no fear. And I think this is one of the key things we instill during our preparation process for First Reconciliation, which traditionally happens in the fall of the year that your child is preparing for First Communion. Also, they are tied together, and that generally happens at the age of 7, which we'll talk about a little bit more, or second grade. It tends to be when they fall into this area. But one of the things that I think is so important that we really focus on is how reconciliation is truly a way that Jesus loves us. And he does this by allowing us to have the sacrament, to come to him, to be forgiven, because he does love us so much. So I love this quote by Padre Pio, and everything we do, especially connected to reconciliation, is based on the idea of this is a gift of love from God to us. And then, of course, Eucharist, and I'm a huge fan of Lord of the Rings, so I had to throw this in there. All the darkness of my life, about how the Eucharist is truly where he found so much beauty. And that's one of the things I love about preparing children for First Eucharist is they truly get the idea of receiving Jesus, and it brings them so much joy. And I feel like going through the process also reminds us as adults of that joy that sometimes can be forgotten in all of this. So we really focus too in Eucharist about how this is another gift of love from God to us that Jesus gave us before he left, so we could always be close to him, and that we become more like him when we are able to take him in us. So that's why Eucharist is so central. It's the source and summit of our faith, and that is why. So those are really kind of like the backbone of where our preparation comes from, is these ideas of gifts of love. And that's something you hear repeated over and over again through the year of preparation. So why each 7? So by diocesan requirements, there's a few of them. One of them is that First Reconciliation comes before First Eucharist, and also that it can happen not before the age of 7. And really this comes from this idea that around 6 and 7, your child enters this new age or new stage of development, if you will, when they really are trying to gain some independence. Sometimes that's very frustrating as a parent, but also they're really trying to find their place in the world and figure that out. So this is truly the age when they do start understanding what it means to be sorry, what it means to ask for forgiveness, what it means to do wrong, about wanting to do the right thing. This is kind of the time when they start to really be interested in those things and develop a curiosity of how they are in this world, independent. So some of the characteristics, like I said, they move from concrete thinking to abstract thinking, if you will. So you'll see them start to understand like things more clearly about faith, the idea that it is, more of an abstract idea. They also develop their reasoning ability. You'll notice that they become very interested in what's fair. They might tell you something's not fair, or they want to know, well, why does my brother get to do this, but I can't? And they're also focused on social relationships, which is a key part too in religious development, remember? Because we're in relationship with God. That is the source of even reconciliation, that Jesus and God love us so much that they always want us to be close. Jesus always wants to be next to us. And when we sin, we kind of pull away. And this is a way to reinstate a good relationship. So in reconciliation, we talk a lot about that. That's what it is. It's really helping our relationship to grow with God. And this is something He gave us to help us with that. So that's why these are really area. This is kind of like a key area for to introduce these sacraments more fully, because they can understand this idea of that the bread becomes the body, even though it doesn't look like it changed. They can understand the reasoning and idea of what's fair and not fair, and they also want their focus on social relationships. So this is a great time to really strengthen their understanding of their relationship with God. Preparation program. So our preparation program takes on a couple of different parts. So the first thing are formation requirements. I kind of went over the first one, which is of course that your child has to prepare for first reconciliation or receive first reconciliation prior to receiving First Communion. That's a diocesan guideline. Another one is that they have a year of formation prior to beginning the preparation for reconciliation and communion. That's a diocesan requirement. Truly, this just comes from the fact that to truly enter into this relationship with God, we have to have some basic understanding first. And that's really what happens during that first year of preparation. We do offer a makeup program or kind of like a catch-up program that you can do to help your child fulfill that requirement. If that is something you're in need of, contact me individually. I'm here to help you with all of that. And one of the things we strive to do, and you would see this when we give you the preparation schedule in the fall, we try to not overwhelm you with too much. It's really meant to fit into your life and be part of your faith life that you share with your children throughout this year. Our schedule is based around the idea that we begin preparation for reconciliation in the fall. We start that with a parent meeting in September, where we'll go over the program, we'll go over all the pieces of the program, we'll go over the schedule in more detail for that sacrament in particular. And then in January, they will receive their first reconciliation in sometime in December. And then in January, we begin preparation for First Communion. Again, with a parent kickoff meeting to dive a little bit more into that program's details, that schedule, how everything will work, and then finish off with the preparation with them receiving First Eucharist during the Easter season. And schedule and dates for all that will be talked a lot more in the fall. The other thing too is that part of our preparation schedule is two different parts. The first one is our at-home programming, which are weekly chapters from a book that we use. We use programs from Loyola Press. They have videos that go along with them that you can watch. There's always additional optional activities if your child is really interested in one area that you're welcome to use. And it works out to be about a chapter a week, but we do have some breaks in that and what I like to say buffer time for catch up in case you have a very busy week and you're just not able to get to it. And then once a month, we gather all together to do some hands-on learning activities to help your child, one, grow more in their understanding of the sacrament, grow as a community of children preparing and families preparing for the sacrament. Parents are always at our session with their child. And also it gives them a chance to ask me any questions and our volunteers any questions they might have about the sacrament. One of the things I tell families, of course, and you'll hear this again in the fall and spring when we look specifically at the pieces of the different programs. I always say, if your child has a question and you don't know the answer or not really clear, you can always say, let's email Miss Vicky. I'm always available that way. Or let's write that down. We can ask her at our next session. So that way, if you're unsure, please always feel free to use those two sayings to help you and your child through the program. Mass attendance. So one of the things I always like to really encourage families is, especially as we're preparing for First Eucharist, your child really will get interested in the Mass. We'll talk a lot about the pieces of the Mass, our role in the Mass, how important that the community is to the Mass. And so that's really vital to be taking an active role as much as you can attending Mass. And also the sacraments. Seeing you go to reconciliation sometimes is a wonderful way to help your child feel comfortable prior to receiving their first reconciliation. So I just always encourage family to really take an role in the sacraments during this time, even attending baptisms, reminding them how that's how this all started. If you have a child preparing for confirmation, tying that all in about how that's their next step, or even if you go to a wedding, really truly showing how the sacraments and how they're preparing for these sacraments are a part of our lives always. Forms and other details. So the first one is that um, reconciliation and first communion preparation happen in the church that you are registered at. So if you're watching this, you should be or probably are already a member of Transfiguration. If you're not and really are interested in joining us, we welcome you with open arms. Just let me know. I can make sure you get the registration form to officially sign up as a member of the parish. There's a registration form specifically for reconciliation and communion with some more details that we might need. Also, baptism certificate. So if your child was baptized here at Transfiguration, we should have one on file already, but give us as close to possible the date of their baptism because it helps us find them in the record. Our records go by date, not by last name. So it's a little harder if we don't have an area to pinpoint down. If your child was baptized somewhere else, that's totally okay. All you have to do is call up that parish if you don't have a copy at home and say you need a copy of their baptismal certificate, and they'll mail it right off to you. If you do have it or when it comes in already, all you have to do is take a photo of it. I do not need the original, and snap a photo and email it to me, and then you will be all set. We need this because after First Communion, because it's a sacrament of initiation, we actually have to let that parish know that the child received, and that's just a way of making sure that when they go after confirmation being married, they ever need it, all the records can be found in one place and they're not having to bounce around to different places. So it's just a little detail. First communion dates, we will have these in the fall for you. Like I said, they're always in the Easter season. They'll most likely be over several weekends, and we do limit it to about 12 first communicants per mass. We do them at our weekend liturgies. So more details on that to come. Please know that they'll be coming in fall. We get it to you very early because I know there's a lot of planning to go around those dates. And we actually pick the dates in January, but you can start your kind of planning and figure out what weekend might work best and what might work best for your family, even as early as the fall. So that is really it. Those are all the details to get started. If you have any questions, please feel free to email those to me. If you're watching this on our YouTube channel, you can find it in the description box below. If you're watching it on our website, you are probably on a page that has all my contact information on it. But again, this is Victoria Waco, and I so look forward to working with your family as you prepare for these special moments in the faith journey of your child.